Welcome to Gracefully Graying live stream. Gracefully Graying is a startup to connect you to resources and information about growing older and for assisting your loved ones. We provide articles, interviews, checklists, and other tips to create a productive and vibrant life. We also have many resources for people moving into later life stages and how they can be helped by those around them. You can find us on gracefullygraying.com and social media platforms. So now enjoy the live stream Gracefully Graying show.
Good morning. I'm Pam Lippett, and I want to thank Lori Bloom, one of our Gracefully Graying co-founders, for our introduction this morning. I am the COO of Gracefully Graying, and we're here to help our audience with tips and tricks and suggestions and things to do right as they move through different parts of life stages. I am so happy to introduce my longtime friend. We don't like to use that word old, especially when we're the same age. My longtime friend, Robert Manela, who I often call Bob or Bobby. So if I slip, don't
worry about it.
And we are here today to really help you with preparing for those 2021 taxes. I know I'm going to introduce you, but I know I read on Facebook your tips about different things last night. So in all disclosure, we went to junior high. We were kids at the neighborhood swimming pool. We've gone on different trips together and group trips over the years. And it is my pleasure to have always stayed connected. So welcome, Robert.
Thank you.
And say hello to everyone.
Good morning, everybody. People call me Bob, Bobby, Robert, Robbie. It doesn't really matter. I am a longtime CPA in the Fort Lauderdale area. I have prepared tens of thousands and reviewed tens of thousands of income tax returns over the years. I do a lot of tax planning, and I also handle a lot of IRS tax controversy.
Okay, so we are going to get to the controversy part in a few minutes. One of the things we're talking about today as we get started is things that are specific to seniors doing their taxes. So when you meet with someone senior, how do we define that? Us and older.
Well,
at this point,
some seniors, even before they meet with an accountant or prepare themselves, a lot of senior citizens believe that they do not have to file income tax returns. For lower income people, Social Security is not taxable if they don't have a higher income, but people don't always realize that seniors, especially, if they sell a house, they need to file an income tax return. If you take money out of a pension plan or IRA, you need to file income tax returns. If you make brokerage trades, you need to file tax returns. And some people are surprised that they file a return and they don't owe money, but they still were required to file a return.
So it's real, it's interesting because I had a conversation with someone the other day who said, well, I'm not really doing a full business. And afterwards I thought, you may have decided this isn't a business, but you still have income. And so the IRS doesn't really care if you have a business with a website and a whatever. They care if money arrives. And I guess it's the same principle, I guess.
Well, some people say, not just seniors, I lost money in my business. I don't have to file an income tax return. But the IRS gets reports from brokerage firms and from crypto firms now and from credit card firms of monies that you've earned. So you may not owe any tax, but you have to report what you earned.
Because somewhere in the algorithm in the back end that we don't know about, it's matching that data to your return.
And many times right now, businesses are sending 1099s to the IRS and to people. So it may be 2 years from now that the IRS does a match of your records and says, hey, you need to file for 2021.
Wow. Okay. That's really interesting. I thought it was, oh, that was silly that I thought it was real time. So,
It's
because
not yet.
everything else in the world is, right? So
You are a dreamer if you believe it's real time.
hey, my COVID test came in a week, so there's that. Um, so we're talking about like seniors who have other income that still need to file.
Correct.
What if you are, I mean, neither of us have parents anymore, but what if you are helping a parent or an aunt or an uncle or a cousin? How do you broach those kind of subjects to get them started?
Well, what happens is you just have to. Well, first of all, there are senior citizens now uh, that are in a double dip generation. They're providing for their parents and they're providing for their kids and sometimes their grandchildren. So
Right.
many times they can take uh, other people as a deduction and file a return and save money themselves. And they may have other tax benefits that way.
Even if the parent has money, like
Well,
even if they have income?
if a parent, you have to provide more than half of their support, so you may not be able to claim a parent, but you can get them to file a return at least.
Sure. But if I mean, I know a lot of people whose parents are living with them during the pandemic, and during that time, it became clear that the parent was not going back to their home, right?
But they still have to provide more than half of their support.
Okay.
And it's a lot of people say, oh yeah, I take care of my parents, but it's not, they have to be putting away a lot of money on behalf of their parents.
That's interesting. So I'm just gonna.
And every case is different. It's very difficult to make generalities.
Okay, that's important, because I think that is in itself why one needs to hire an accountant much more when things get not even complicated, but multi-stream. When you're filing those extra little forms that come along with your taxes.
Well, there are plenty of senior citizens that file their own return. I'm going to pick on my mother-in-law, Faye.
Okay.
She gets she gets Social Security and she gets some pension income. Theoretically, she could file her own return if she on free file right online, but
Right.
that's never been her thing. But other people, they may have run a business and they're used to doing things like that, so they just file their own return.
Yeah, I have to say, from the moment I started my first business in 1986, I had a CPA signing my taxes. I think it's really important, especially if you work, so many of us who are working from home and there are those little deductions. It's really good to have those conversations with a professional, just like you would have any other conversation with a professional. I'm not treating myself, for something I really need to see the doctor for, right? So it's the same thing to me.
I don't know how to build a computer, but I know how to buy a computer. If somebody prepares their own return, they're preparing one return, whereas a professional is preparing, a couple hundred returns in a year.
Right, at least. So, okay, so those are really interesting pieces of information as we kind of move along. One of the things that you post about a lot on Facebook that I find so interesting, because I always have anxiety if I don't get my taxes done, is the people who haven't filed taxes in a bit. And that can really relate to some of our constituency, some of our group, who, especially if you find out your parent just missed it, didn't do it, there may be other underlying issues that you open up kind of Pandora's box with. But what do you do?
And first of all, In my experience, non-filers or late filers are every income classification, every educational level. There are people. I have a friend who's a musician, and his father was a musician, and he remembers his father getting knocked on the door by the IRS. So it put him in a panic for life that
Right.
of somebody knocking on their door. What you have to start is you have to start with some records. And non-filers typically throw everything away or maybe have moved, a number of times. So the easiest thing to do is to get your records from the IRS. The IRS they may not have your particular business records, but they have the 1099s you received, any W-2s, any statements from Social Security, or they have those records, and that serves as a great basis to prepare a tax return. And when you call the IRS, you got to be prepared. They will tell you how many years you need to file, and they'll give you a date of when they want to see those returns done. And they may even tell you that you owe money because they will prepare your returns for you if you.
Oh, isn't that special?
And they're not so nice. They're not taking those business deductions that you were.
That's really, really interesting.
The important thing is you got to get started. If you have a refund and it's more than 3 years, the IRS will not send you that refund. If you owe income tax for more than 3 years, you will have to pay that income tax, plus penalties and interest. And those add up quickly. And those are the things that CPAs can help people get out of.
So tell me about like a typical first conversation when someone like finally says, okay, I'm gonna deal with this. I'm gonna literally knock on a CPA's door as opposed to the IRS knocking on my door. How does that go?
That's the key. Is it better for you to come forward than for them to come forward? Because when they come forward, sometimes they will lean your paychecks, or they will levy a bank account. When somebody comes to me, the first thing I do is prepare a power of attorney. They have to give me permission to talk to the IRS.
Right.
Because in my humble experience, somebody says they haven't filed in 2 years, that means 6. Somebody says I didn't make any money, that means they really made some money.
Right.
You want to know the truth? I used the Manela 1/3 rule. If they say they haven't filed for 1 year, it's 3 years. If they say they owe $3, it's $1. It's a non-scientific rule, but it works.
It's the inverse of how much you're panicked and how much you think, like how much you think you can get away with not dealing with.
If you try to call yourself, a typical taxpayer, if you call this morning, they will tell you we're too busy, call tomorrow. If you call tomorrow, they'll say call the next day. So I have a set of numbers for practitioners it tells me to call back tomorrow. So I have a special service that I have to pay for, and where it may be a 4-hour wait, I can get on in 10 minutes. And we have to be very patient and nice. We have to talk to the IRS as a person, and I hate, not like an attorney, I don't want to say that, but you got to be very nice to them. And
I'm thinking if I had the conversation, there would be multitude of tears involved, which probably doesn't help not help the case, but help the resolve.
Practitioners that deal with the IRS a lot, I have an email specific, a web address specific to the IRS. So they send me the records almost immediately, as opposed to mailing them to you, which could take a couple weeks. And now you're going to say, why do people all of a sudden come forward? All of a sudden people come forward because they're getting married, or maybe they want to buy a house, or maybe they need a loan, or maybe they want to get a stimulus payment, which a lot of people didn't get because they didn't file returns. Those are the reasons that people, or their bank account was levied, or
Right.
or their employer wanted them to levy their wages. Those are reasons that people file.
Interesting. No, yeah, no, I filed my last year, or in whatever it was, 20, my taxes, like, were on time, ready, whatever, but there was still some glitch from the IRS side, and it took ages for me to get a stimulus payment.
They're still battling battles for last year. Amended returns are
Right.
taking almost a year sometimes to get refunds.
Interesting.
The good news is many times when I work with somebody, I get the money back that they didn't have coming.
I like that plan. That's the plan I want to sign up for. So I'm just gonna show your information if people want to get a hold of you, or we'll do this again at the end. But what can you tell me about when we're starting with the 2021 taxes? I think it's going to be so complicated for so many reasons.
Almost all returns can be electronically filed first, so you need to file electronically. There are a few cases that we have to file paper returns. I do it begrudgingly. There were some benefits for 2020 income tax returns that were made because of COVID that won't be in 2021. One was some unemployment insurance was not taxed in 2020. And there were people that made more than they thought they were going to make, and they were in Obamacare, and they didn't have to pay back tax credits to the IRS. That we're not going to have that benefit in 2021. There weren't many other great big changes yet. I think they're yet to come.
And I think that there were, we hear about the Great Recession of people leaving the workplace. I personally don't think we're going to really know numbers till the 21 taxes are finished and we see how many people file Schedule Cs, which is doing business as and under the umbrella of your own, your own name, as opposed to under the umbrella of an LLC or something. I think there are going to be so many people who have been paid through Zelle and paid through, Venmo and all those things that the IRS is also waking up to now.
Correct. It's never been non-taxable by being paid by Zelle or in crypto or in cash, but people just don't believe. They think and millennials, I'm going to pick on, are the worst. They don't even think they need to file an income tax return. They're above it all.
Kind of like healthcare. Nothing's going to happen to me till something does. Till something does, right? So, I just want to, we've got about 6 minutes left. You sent me this, and I thought this was really so important that and I think this is what everybody has to kind of think about. But planning for their taxes, preparing, and not having a controversy. I think that's the goal in life, right?
That is the goal. When people get a letter from the IRS, it's scary. They just need to do something about it. And a lot of people do something about it by tossing that letter in the garbage can.
Are you saying that's not the right thing to do?
I could adjust my camera and show you stacks of letters that I have. I mean, sometimes there's about one day of the month where the IRS sends a lot of letters out, and I go to my mailbox and I have a stack.
So you get them on behalf when I get a letter at home, it means my CPA also gets a copy of the letter.
It's only if I have a power of attorney.
Ah, okay. Okay.
And there are CPAs that get powers of attorney for all their clients.
Okay.
I don't want that. That's too much paper.
Right. Interesting. All right. So tell us how people can. You are located in Florida.
Yes,
Where do you have license to practice?
I'm licensed in Michigan and in Florida, but I've prepared tax returns at last count for I think 35 of our 50 states. We
Okay.
can practice from anywhere.
Okay. All right. So that's interesting to know. And I'm just going to put your information up. We're not here. I'll put my gracefully graying on hat. We're not here to endorse, but we're certainly here to support the people who give us time and knowledge. So with that, I will put your information on. I put your LinkedIn, and we're going to talk about that offline as well. I put your LinkedIn address up as well if people want to get a hold of you. Is there a preferred method of contact?
Telephone or email is the best way.
Okay, so robert.manela at cpa.com. Now, I'm assuming you belong to an organization that allows you to use cpa.com.
CPA.com is owned by the AICPA.
Okay. I mean, not that you're not brilliant, but I somehow don't know who thought of first grabbing that URL. Don't we wish it were us? We could sell it for a lot of money and just retire.
That's a whole other story that I'll tell you about some other time.
Okay, well, we'll have to have you. We'll have to have you back.
I will tell this audience a couple things.
Okay.
You don't have to go to a CPA. I know some CPAs that are not very qualified to do tax work, and I know some non-CPAs that are very qualified to do tax work.
Okay.
The point is, you just have to do it.
Okay. And you have to trust the process. And you have to not expect a phone call back from someone who's preparing taxes that day, because
I had somebody a couple weeks ago. They texted me 18 times one morning, and I told them, please don't text me anymore. I'm not a 14-year-old kid. And they texted me back, no problem.
Okay.
They are no longer a client of mine.
Wow. Okay. I totally understand that. I actually also just parted ways with a client who did a multitude of contacting on all different ways within about 3 minutes if I didn't respond. So
no, look, there are people in any profession that don't need an accountant or don't need somebody in communications. They need professional help, and I've suggested that too.
None of my clients ever. I actually have really good clients. I am very lucky in that way. So, okay, main takeaways. Start whatever it is. The monkey on your back, the weight on your back is worse than the process.
Correct.
And just get started. So I want to thank you. We're reaching our half-hour mark, and we're really trying to create this live stream in a bite that people will listen to and watch, and come back to us for more information. This interview, if people are either watching it live or will watch the playback later, can they add questions in the comments section?
You can call or question me anytime.
Okay.
My wife says I shouldn't answer the phone after 6 o'clock because I'm not a surgeon, but I do anyway.
Well, people treat their CPAs like surgeons, so that I get that. And then, but if people have questions in general about the presentation or anything we've talked about, truly feel free to leave a message in the comment. Let us know where you're calling from. or calling from, caller, the next caller. But we can find Gracefully Graying on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over the place. And this interview will go up on YouTube and on our website in the coming days. So I thank you. We thank you for really helping us to start the process. And if we are really good at the process and get our taxes done every year, it's not a bad day to start this year, because I think there's going to be an overflow of nervousness and questions as we go along. So I just want to wrap this up. I want to thank Robert Manela CPA again. We will see you next Tuesday with our broadcast, and you'll see the invitation for that go up on our social media sites as well. So thank you. Have a good day in Florida. There's lots of snow in Michigan, but I'll be down. I'll talk to you. I'll be down hopefully the end of February.
I look forward to that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for watching, and have a good day, everyone.